Okay, this is number 8. So if I'm doing P over Q values, the very first thing I'm going to do is P over Q. I'm going to do plus or minus 1, 2, 3, and 6 over plus or minus 1, 2, 3, and 6 to give me a complete P over Q to be plus or minus 1, 2, 3, 6, 1 half. 2 over 2 is 1. 3 over 2, 6 divided by 2 is 3. Already have it in there. So now 1/3, 2/3, 3/3 is 1, 6/3 is 2. So 1/6, 2/6 is going to be 2 over 6 reduces down to 1/3. 3 over 6 is 1 half. 6 over 6 is 1. So that is done for that. Then I need to go ahead and do my Descartes. So my positive roots, I'm going to go ahead and say I have nothing, 1, 2. So this is going to be 2 or 0. Negative roots, well, that means I'm going to have 6x to the 4th minus x cubed minus 20x squared plus 3x plus 6. Only the odd powers change. So the stays, that changes, the stays, that changes, the stays. There's 1, there's 2. So I'm going to have 2 or 0. So if I have positive, negative, imaginary, and my total, I'm going to have 2 paired with 0 or 2 paired with 2. I'm going to have 0 paired with 0 or 0 paired with 2. And I have to have a total of 4 every time. So that leaves 2 to be imaginary, 0 to be imaginary, 4 to be imaginary, and 2 to be imaginary. Okay, so I'm going to go to the next one. I'm going to graph this thing. So if I graph this, I'm going to come over here to Desmos. And Desmos. And six x raised to the 4th plus x cubed squared. And hit enter. Then I'm going to touch my graph. And my brain needs to do some thinking. So what your brain needs to understand here, and I'm going to push that over there. I'm going to go ahead and go like that. Okay, so you can see me a little bit here now. Okay, these ones right here. The negative 1.732 and the positive 1.732, these two right here are going to be your irrational. Your brain doesn't know those. They're going to be irrational. However, your brain does know 0.5 is 1 half, and your brain does know that minus 0.66666 repeating is actually negative 2/3. So I'm going to come back over here and say, okay, root 1 is going to be 1 half, and root 2 is going to be negative 2/3. So I'm going to do synthetic division at 1 half and negative 2/3. So that is going to give me, I need to see my other one here. That's going to be a 6, a 1, a negative 20, a negative 3, and a 6. Come on, grow. So, drop this down. That gives me a 6. Half of 6 is 3. That gives me a 4. Half of 4 is a 2. This gives me a negative 18. Half of negative 18 is negative 9. This gives me a negative 12. Half of negative 12 is negative 6 to give me a 0. If you didn't get a 0, you messed it up. So we're going to do it again. This is a 6. 6 divided by 3 is 2 times negative 2 is going to be a negative 4. That gives me a 0. That gives me a 0. 18 divided by 3 is 6 times 2 is 12. And that gives you 0. So now, this made it degree 3, and this makes it degree 2. So 6x squared minus 18 is equal to 0. So 6x squared is equal to 18. Divide by 6, and you have x squared is equal to 3. Take the square root, and you get x is equal to plus or minus the square root of 3. Which, think about that for a hot sec. if I come back over here and I say, no, I don't want that one. So give me a minute here. I gotta pull up my other program. The square root of 3 is going to be 1.7 plus or minus, and you'll be able to see that as soon as my program comes up. But while we're waiting on that to come, that means root 1, root 2, root 3, root 4, root 5. 1/2, negative 2/3. I don't have root 5. Sorry, it was degree 4. This is going to be the square root of 3 and negative square root of 3, which means I'm going to have x minus 1/2, x plus 2/3, x minus the square root of 3 times x plus the square root of 3. That is the complete factored form. So it's finally up. I want this closed. Oh, she's a baby one. So if I type in the square root of 3 and put decimal, enter, that's what you get, so you know that you're right. So whenever I came over here and I looked at my Desmos, I get those values and you know that you're right. Does that make sense? If not, please let me know.